ॐ तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनम् कविभिरीरितम् कल्मषापहम् श्रवणमङ्गलम् श्रीमदाततम् भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जना. So the master with the Brahmo devotees. So master's discussion with the Brahmo devotees is continuing. So the Brahmo devotee asks the master, if the power of avidya is the cause of ignorance, then why has God created it? Master, that is his play. The glory of light cannot be appreciated without darkness. Happiness cannot be understood without misery. Knowledge of good is possible because of knowledge of evil. So that's the idea which we find Sri Ramakrishna is stating as one of the his way of justification that why that God has created the ignorance. That if you are always in perpetual bliss, we can never ever give value to that perpetual bliss because that's the state of our existence. It's only when we sometimes find, because of ignorance, that is interrupted. We find the dualities of life. Then again, we can easily realize the state, the perpetual state of bliss, which is our very existence. The need to be established in it, that need develops in us. Very nicely, Swami Vivekananda used to say that the difference between good and evil is not in kind, only in degrees. So he used to say that there is nothing called evil as such. You cannot distinguish something as evil and good. He used to say everything is good. It is just a matter of comparative goodness. Even the so-called all the sufferings in life, in a way, is good. You may say, how? Now just see, for whatever we do in this life to get happiness, know it for certain, the happiness, the bliss comes only from the self. This world doesn't have the capacity to give us any happiness. It is because of ignorance we feel that the world is waiting there with all its resource to give us happiness. I want this, I want that. The moment I get the happiness. But if we really try to find out the nature of happiness, what we will find? That it is not the thing which has given us happiness. It is not the desire, fulfillment of the desire which has given us happiness. Be it relation, be it wealth, be it position in life. These are the three main things which the scriptures speak of as our desire. Putraishana, Vittaishana, Yashaishana, or Lokaishana. The desire for progeny, the desire for wealth, the desire for name and fame. All these desires, when it gets fulfilled, I have the idea that this desire, once it is fulfilled, it is the object of the desire which has given me happiness. But know it for certain, it is not the object which gives us happiness. If we try to study the nature of happiness, what we will find? That the tremendous ecstatic joy which we have by the fulfillment of any desire. is only when it gets fulfilled, and for the time being in the mind, there is no desire. There's no desire. So it is not the object which is giving me happiness. Suppose I wanted a latest model car, or just planning to have a new house. The moment I have the house, the key of the house, tremendous joy I feel with it. Or the new car, I feel a tremendous happiness. And I think the car, the house, this has given me happiness. So the increment in the salary has given me happiness. No. If I try to really find out what has given me happiness, that as long as I haven't attained the object of my happiness, my mind was in turmoil. Constantly I was thinking, contemplating on it. And not only that, there was anticipation. What's the anticipation? That I may get it, I may not get it. So these worries were created because of that, because of the unpredictable nature of the object of happiness. There is no surety I get it. And once I get it, again that worry is that what is that I may lose it. But the moment I get it, for that time, the short time, of course, again the worry will come, I will lose it. But the time when I get it, for the time being, all the worries have fallen off. The tension, I may not get it, that has fallen off. The constant desire to get it, that has fallen off. The mind has entered into a state of calmness, let go. Swami Vivekananda used to give a very nice example that our mind is just like a lake, and as if the bottom of the lake is our real nature. The mind is covering it. Now, when the lake is disturbed, a lot of waves are there, I can never see the bottom of the lake. But when the lake is calm, the water is clear, I can see the bottom of the lake. You will find that if you go to any river which has very clean water, the Ganges in the Uttarkashi, it's very clean. You can see the pebbles on the river bed. So clear it is. So when the water is clear, the waves are not there, and you can see the bottom of the lake. So Swamiji is saying that our mind is something like that. So bottom of the mind, below the mind, behind the mind is our real nature, which is finding expression through the mind. And the mind is like that lake. It is always full of disturbance, the desire and the expectations, and they are like the waves. The moment the desire is fulfilled, for a time being, there is a let go. The mind is calm. As long as the mind is in turmoil, the Ananda Swarupata, the bliss factor of the self, that gets obscured. The moment the mind is calm, the bliss factor, that finds expression through our life. I have tremendous joy. And now, because of ignorance, I think the object of my desire gave me happiness. But actually now, if I try to dive deep in my mind, I will find it is not the object. It is a state of desirelessness that has given me the happiness. And the happiness is not because of something outside. It is from within. My real nature is percolating through the body-mind complex. So whenever I get happiness in life, it is because of the self and self alone. The world is a big advertisement. It doesn't have the capacity to give us even the fragrance of happiness. That's what Shankaracharya says in his commentary in Bhagavad Gita. This gandha matram api na vidyate, that even a little fragrance of happiness is not there in this world. It is because of ignorance we are constantly thinking. So now how we are getting happiness? When the mind is calm. So that way in this world, whatever I may do, whenever I'm getting happiness, even the criminal, if he by stealing, if he gets that happiness, the happiness is because of his union with his real nature. So that way it is all okay. That he has somehow, our aim in life is to unify with us. But the means he has adopted, that is wrong. Why it is wrong? That because if he steals, now he will be caught. The society won't allow him to do that. He will be in the jail. His means to go to that momentary happiness is now obstructed. In our life, we will find that there are so many, that whenever my happiness is being fulfilled, I am happy. But there are so many obstructions to go to that happiness. So what we say, that it is lesser good. It's not bad. After all, our intention to get happiness is very good. But the means we are adopting because of ignorance, because of all the cloud in our mind, all the distortions in our mind is leading us to resort to some means which is not going to give me perpetual joy. I may get for momentary happiness and then it is gone. That means won't be available to me. And that will lead to suffering. So if I knew that just to keep the mind calm can give me perpetual bliss continuously, as in the scriptures they say, Taila Dharavar, just like the flow of oil, then the wise man, what he will do? He will stop his chase after the desires of the world. He will try to keep his mind calm, restrained, always trying to dive within and to be established in his own self, so that there is no such restlessness in the mind to obscure the bliss. So what has happened? That you are actually traveling from lesser good to higher good. That all those things which we call crime, which we say is creates attachment to the world, they also give happiness. But that momentary happiness, which is obscured, the means are gone, and that leads us to suffering. So if I know that how to get that happiness as something uninterrupted, then from lesser good, you are going to a higher good. And that's what is the game plan of interspirituality. And that's what Sri Ramakrishna is saying, that once you know the art of being established in that perpetual bliss, then you won't resort to all these things which is creating the suffering. So they all taught me that I want that happiness, but it was so momentary and that was creating the suffering. And this want to be in perpetual happiness actually motivated me to gradually lead a spiritual way of life. It gradually motivated me. So what motivated me? The lesser good. It was good. Why it was good? Because that happiness which I got from the self alone. All we are adopting wrong means to get the correct thing, but we have adopted the wrong means. So now this little happiness, that becomes the motivating factor. I have to get it without an interruption. And then only you try for the spiritual way of life by living this better way of life to get established in that spiritual sublimity. So now you will understand that what Sri Ramakrishna is saying it makes a wonderful sense, that unless that there was something to obscure my happiness, the want to be in the perpetual happiness wouldn't have been there. And that's why he's saying that this contrast, that's the thing which gives us the motivation to remain established in that perpetual joy. So that's why he's saying this is God's play. The glory of light cannot be appreciated without darkness. So by resorting to the wrong means, that the happiness which I get momentarily and gets interrupted, that's constantly urging me to get it uninterruptedly. So this darkness, that happiness is gone. I don't want that. I want perpetual joy. That actually is motivating me to lead a life where I can get that, always that light. There is no darkness. So the glory of light cannot be appreciated without darkness. The happiness cannot be understood without misery. Knowledge of good is possible because of the knowledge of evil. This is the first reason which Sri Ramakrishna is giving. And then what he's saying further, the mango grows and ripens on account of the covering skin. You throw away the skin when the mango is fully ripe and ready to be eaten. It is possible for a man to attain gradually to the knowledge of Brahman because of the covering skin of Maya. Maya, in its aspects of Vidya and Avidya, may be likened to the skin of the mango. Both are necessary. So this, again, Sri Ramakrishna, with a simple example, is trying to uh, highlight the need for the Maya, both the avidya as well as the vidya. So he's saying it's just like the covering of the mango. As per our eating habits are concerned, that has no use. We want the pulp. But unless that covering is there, the mango won't grow, it won't ripen. You cannot think of the pulp unless the skin is there. So how the mango has grown? Because of the skin. The skin, Sri Ramakrishna is saying, is just like that Maya, the covering of Maya. It helps us to ripen. How it helps? As again, that we try to understand with so many examples, that you will find that because of ignorance, first thing what happens? The ego originates, the ego evolves. Even in a small microbe, where that the conscious principle, the Vedanta will say, gets associated with the microbe body. And now you will find that this microbe body also has a sense of individuality. Even in modern science, they say only human beings have that, what is the sense of individuality, other beings don't have. If other beings don't have, if you give some nutrient, why it is drawn towards it? If you give some toxin, why it runs away from it? It do have a sense of individuality. That ego originates because of ignorance. There's a first evolute. So the moment you give nutrient, it is running towards it. Why it is running? So as per Vedanta, they say it is the self which is echoing through the body-mind complex. What it is echoing? The self is constantly asserting that I am eternal. I am ever fulfilled. There is no need for me to get something for my fulfillment. I'm always fulfilled. The self is echoing through the body-mind complex. And now the self is getting deluded because of this echo. That we give that example, that suppose I'm standing in front of a mountain and shouting my name. My name is echoed back from the mountain. And I think someone is calling me from the mountain. Similarly, the self being associated with the body-mind complex hears the echo that I am eternal, I am ever fulfilled. And the self feels as if the body-mind complex is saying, I am eternal, I am ever fulfilled. And this deluded self, being attached with the body-mind complex, is constantly trying to realize the eternity through the body-mind complex, to realize the ultimate fulfillment through the body-mind complex. And that creates, because of this ignorance, this ego has been evolved, this ego has evolved, and this has created all our desires. In the Yoga Sutra, very nicely they say that because of ego, the immediate evolute of ego is raga, dvesha, abhinivesha. Attachment to the things which is favorable for my limited existence. Raga, a level of attachment. Dvesha, abhinivesha. There's a fight and flight response. The things which are not favorable for my existence, I develop the fight and flight response. I run away from it. And this constitutes that individuality. Now what happens? Now it is constantly fighting with the nature. That I am eternal, but the nature is there with its parameters. A little change in the parameter will result in my annihilation. A little more temperature, I will die. A little less, I will die. So now the entire biological evolution starts because of this ignorance. How? The small microbe, they will conglomerate. The various unicellular microbes, they conglomerate, they form a group, they form a conglomerate of cell. Now this is an organism. Why they have conglomerated? So that there can be division of labor. I alone cannot fight with nature. Well, okay, you take care of the circulation, you take care of the digestion, you take care of the networking, the neural paths. So you will find that a small microbe at last has evolved into a human being with the trillions of cells conglomerated to form this human body. Why it has happened? Because of the constant struggle against the nature. that I want to realize the eternity, the ultimate fulfillment through this body-mind complex. So this ignorance is just like the covering which has resulted in this evolution. And this entire evolution is because of avidya, ignorance. That's what avidya maya. Sri Ramakrishna is saying both are required, avidya and vidya maya required. Now what happens? As a human being, we have that faculty, that uniqueness to realize that I am chasing after something which is the product of ignorance. I am already eternal. I am ever fulfilled. There is no need for me to get something for my fulfillment because I alone exist. Ekam eva dvitiyam, I alone exist through eternity. I was, I am, I will be without any transformation. I'm the eternal present. The moment I realize that, the first thing happens is this eternal chase to realize eternity and fulfillment through the body-mind complex, that ceases, that stops. That speaks of renunciation. Swamiji is saying the first sign of spiritual development is renunciation. That why should I chase after this raga, dvesha, abhinivesha, which was going on through the entire this biological evolution? There's no need. I'm already that. Now this idea that I'm already that, this sense of fulfillment starts the spiritual journey, but it's not going to happen in a day. That so many sanskaras I have developed through the process of evolution. Even if I realize that they are ignorant, that they are the product of ignorance, they're not going to fall off immediately. A drug addict knows that the drug is harming, is damaging his body, mind, but it cannot leave it because of the addiction. So we have developed that addiction. So though we realize that it is something which is useless, but I cannot simply release it, so simply get rid of it. So this, what is Vidya Maya? That once I realize that I'm already eternal, I'm already fulfilled, these all samskaras are holding me back. So I start my spiritual journey as a devotee by constantly contemplating that I'm one with God, or I'm in eternal association with the divine, or I think I'm the Atman, I'm the Brahman. Both are what they're doing. They're hammering the ego. The ego, because of which all the samskaras have developed and are all attached to it. Now this new contemplation is helping to get rid of the ego, so that at last the ego falls off and all the samskaras which are attached to it, they also collapse all at once. So this process of contemplation, that I am Brahman or I am a devotee of God, these are also within the realm of Maya, but they're the Vidya Maya, because with them I will get rid of all the other attachments which has resulted out of ignorance. So with this, I'm getting rid of that. As Sri Ramakrishna says, that when a thorn pricks you, you take another thorn to get rid of this thorn, and you throw away both of them. So with this Vidya Maya, at last when the ego also collapses, along with which all other samskaras falls off, rendering you freedom. So now you will understand when Sri Ramakrishna is saying Vidya Maya as well as Avidya Maya, both are required, and they're like just the covering over the mango. So the mango has ripened, the pulp has really become ripened because the covering was there. First through Avidya Maya and then through Vidya Maya. At last, when the mango is fully ripened, now you can remove the cover to enjoy the pulp. So that's what Sri Ramakrishna is saying, that this covering was required for the mango to grow, to ripen. For the Vidya Maya, Avidya Maya, both were required. So it's a cyclic process. First through Avidya Maya, you go through this all biological evolution, but it is not a straight line, that it will not go on eternally. A time will come when we realize that it is a product of ignorance, and then that renunciation comes, and with the help of Vidya Maya, again I go back to the source from where all this process has started. So this is the idea where Sri Ramakrishna is giving this wonderful example. So now you will understand that avidya is also required for this entire process to happen. Swami Vivekananda also gives a very nice example in one of his lectures in Jnana Yoga. He says, with our eyes, I can see everything, but I cannot see my own face. So to see my own face, I need a mirror. So the ultimate self, he is eternal. He is ever fulfilled. But he himself doesn't realize that. Just the way I cannot see my own face, I need a mirror. So to realize its own nature, the creation has happened. And through the creation, the ultimate the reality is using this creation as a mirror to know itself. And Swamiji says very nicely that the lower creatures, the insentient beings and the lower organisms, they are like a very murky water, the water which is full of mud. So you with your intention to see your own reflection, you stand near that, you just see the outline. You're not satisfied. I just see the outline. I cannot see my full image. And then most probably I just stand near a very clear water. I see a better image. Still, I'm not satisfied because it's not giving the exact replica of mine. It's a bit hazy. Then I get some shining metal, a bit more satisfied. And then I get a mirror, but it is full of dust. I remove the dust, a clean mirror, undistorted mirror. I see. Now I'm satisfied. Now there is no need for mirror. I leave out the mirror. So Swamiji is saying that the entire creation which came out from the Lord acts as the mirror. At last, as a human being, we have the capacity to cleanse our mind, and the mind becomes like that clean mirror where the self sees itself. And now its desire to know itself it is already fulfilled, but it as if was not realizing that. The moment it realizes, now the entire process of biological evolution as well as the spiritual journey, that ceases. There's no need for that. So it's just like the reading a book. The entire nature is like a book. For page after page, life after life, I am reading. And at last, the book is over. Now I've got the knowledge of it. The book is no more required. I keep it aside. I know what I am. So that's the wonderful way you can understand that what Sri Ramakrishna is intending to say, that there is a need for this. Unless we go through this process, we can, though we are eternally fulfilled, we are eternal, we as if don't realize that. To realize that, this process is required. And that's why he's saying, further the mango grows and ripens on account of the covering skin. You throw away the skin when the mango is fully ripe and ready to be eaten. It is possible for a man to attain gradually to the knowledge of Brahman because of the covering skin of Maya. Maya in its aspects of Vidya and Avidya may be likened to the skin of the mango. Both are necessary. Brahmo. Sir, is it good to worship God with form, an image of the deity made of clay? Master. You do not accept God. Now, Sri Ramakrishna, one thing you should remember, he always used to say, Karor bhav noshto kurte nahi. So when he's conversing, you will find a beautiful way of conversing. Immediately doesn't go to say that, no, this is all okay. Don't think that in the image of clay, God is not there. So first sentence he says, you do not accept God with form. That is all right. Karol bhav noshto kurte nahi. He's not. Now he's arguing, taking that as a fact. What he's saying now, the image is not meant for you. For you, it is good to deepen your feeling toward your own ideal. From the worshippers of the personal God, you should learn their yearning. So very interesting. That whether you believe in God without form or with form, don't you agree that your goal is to have a tremendous yearning for whatever the ideal you have? So if you don't believe in the God with form, well and good, don't believe. But still you can learn something from them. That the tremendous yearning they have for the ideal, for the Ishta they have chosen. So let's see how nicely, without disturbing your this idea of the spirituality or bhava, still you can learn. It's not that as you don't believe in that, so they are of no use for you. Even from them, you can learn. What's the thing you can learn? Just a yearning. For instance, Sri Krishna's attraction for Radha. You should learn from the worshippers of the personal God their love for their chosen ideal. When the believers in the personal God worship the images of Kali and Durga, with what feeling they cry from the depths of their souls, Mother, oh Mother, how much they love the deity. You should accept that feeling. You don't have to accept the image. Now, Sri Ramakrishna is just giving the essence of spirituality. What I believe is not important. How intensely I believe, with how much love I believe, that is important. Because whatever I believe, what's the programming in the mind which is taking me to the realization? Any path. What's the programming? That when I start loving my ideal, whatever it may be, my mind gets so focused to it that the other thing starts falling off. You'll find that the object of love creates tremendous attraction. When I'm watching a game in the TV, someone calls, I don't hear. The sound is entering the ear, but is not registering in the mind. Why it is not registering? Because the total mind has been taken away by the game which is going on. And I'm watching it in the TV screen. So the more the mind is focused, the more the other distractions fall off. And what's the best way of creating focus? Love. If you have a tremendous yearning for anything, passion for anything, that immediately helps you to get focused on that thing, and other things starts falling off. And you will find that one who is very, very passionate about certain things, say an artist is very passionate about his painting, you'll find an interesting thing that most probably he's painting throughout the night. He has forgotten that he has to take food. He has forgotten that he has to sleep. A musician, classical music, practicing throughout the night, absorbed in his music. He has forgotten his sleep. He has forgotten his hunger, everything. What has happened? The same thing. The mind is so focused, the thing which he loves, in that the other things has fallen off. Hunger, thirst, this need for rest, these are all biological alarms. When I'm having the pangs of hunger, the body is saying it's the time for you to take food. But that pang of hunger, the alarm, must register to the mind. But his mind is focused so much that even the bodily alarm system, they fall off because the mind is not registering. That gives him a tremendous flow, absorption. He can continue for hours in the thing. All things has fallen off. The last thing to fall off is the ego, the sense that I am this individuality. Because of that ego, that original from the ignorance that has evolved, on that everything is hooked up. That is the last thing to go. A part of the mind is always even if my mind is tremendously concentrated, a part of my mind is still attached to that. This is the wonderful thing our scriptures say, that when the focus becomes very intense because of your practice, at last, a time comes when the small part of the mind, just like the basal metabolic rate, that when you are taking rest, still you are expending some energy. Your heartbeat is going on, your respiratory system is working. So some energy you still need to continue with your bodily activities. Though you are totally rest, that doesn't mean the body is not spending energy. So similarly, even when all the thoughts have stopped, only one thought, the thought of your ideal is there, still a part of your mind is attached to that ego. But the scriptures say when the meditation becomes still more intense, then that also falls off. Now, according to that's what Sri Ramakrishna says is wonderful. Whatever path you are following, at last, the realization comes through the collapsing of the ego. Nothing else. Ami mukto hobo kobe, ami jabe jabe. When shall I be free? When I cease to be. Now, whatever you may believe, that is not important. That's why Sri Ramakrishna, you will find that when Naren one day came to Sri Ramakrishna and said, such and such belief is blind faith, Sri Ramakrishna started laughing. Naren said, have I told something wrong? And then Sri Ramakrishna's response was wonderful. He asked, can you say me which faith has eyes? All the faith are blind. It's a belief. Have you seen what you believe? No. So all the faiths are blind. Then are they bad? No. Though they are blind, but they are the eye openers. If you can intensely believe in that, that will result, it's a total different programming. At last, that love will help you to get rid of the ego, and that immediately takes you to the real realization. Sri Ramakrishna used to say that all the concepts of divinities are just like a hole in the wall of ego. That all the meditation on the concept of divinity was just like chiseling in the wall of your ego. At last, because of that chiseling, a hole has been created. The one who is meditating on the Krishna, he has created a hole in the form of Krishna. One who is meditating on Rama in the form of Rama. Whatever may be your, even if he is believing on some concept, that concept itself is the hole he has created. And through that you peep, you see infinite expanse. There's a wall, you create a hole, you peep, you see infinite expanse. So Sri Ramakrishna is saying that in the wall of ego, you have created that hole, and immediately through that you see the infinite dimension, the spiritual dimension of our existence. But the whole which you have created, that becomes the framework through which you are relating to that infinite dimension of our existence. And as through our spiritual journey, we create only one whole, we tend to be fanatic. The one who has created the whole in the form of Krishna, he says Krishna is the only God. One who has created the whole in the form of Rama, he says he's the only God. One in the form of Christ, yes, he's the only God. So you'll find this, all the fight comes because only one whole they have created as per their background, their belief system, they have created. It's not that they haven't realized, but that's the only thing. The Sri Ramakrishna is the only person in the entire gamut of spiritual history to have created many holes in the wall of ego. In 12 years sadhana, that's what he was doing. He was never satisfied with one way of spiritual practice. When he realized the ultimate reality by the worship of Mother Kali, immediately that quest came, that the Vaishnavas believe in God in a different form. Can he be realized to that too? That way we find one after other, he's taking up spiritual practices, varied spiritual practices, and he has created innumerable holes in the wall of ego and peeped through them to see that infinite dimension of our existence, to say, Jato Mat Tato Pad. So that's why, how it has happened, not because what you are believing, it has happened because of the earnestness, the yearning with which you are believing. That helped you to get rid of the ego. So that's why Sri Ramakrishna is saying what you believe doesn't matter. In some other part of the gospel, very nice story is there, that a totally unlettered person, ignorant, unlettered person, seeing many people going to a particular guru to get mantra and get initiated in the spiritual life, he also thought that all the so-called the elites are going. It must be something very valuable. It must be transforming their life. So with a simple faith, he went also to be initiated in the spiritual life. And the guru felt he's too crude, he's totally uncultured. This spiritual life is not for him. He's not for this path. So what he did, just out of fun, he gave him some useless word and said, go, just do japa of that. In the gospel, you will find he says, Garol mantra dikhadlen. Some useless word he has taught him. And this man had so intense faith that Guru has given me, it must be transforming my life. With full love, with full devotion, he went on doing the japa on that mantra. At last, taking him to that ultimate realization. Guru was astounded to see the transformation in the one who was given this useless mantra. That's one of the parables of Sri Ramakrishna in the gospel. In some other context, he is saying. So what you believe is not important at all. Even if you have faith in a useless thing, But you have a sim. That's why Sri Ramakrishna used to say, Sharol Bishwash Onek Janme Tapasya Thakle Tobe Hoy. If you have really done austerity for many lives, then you can get that simple faith. The Guru has said, I have faith. And that takes you directly to the realization. The doubting mind just unless uselessly goes on taking us to the what you say, that's useless tracks in the name of spiritual journey. It takes us to the useless tracks. The one who can have a simple faith can go to that realization directly, that can give that tremendous earnestness. So what you're believing is not important. How intensely, with how deep faith you are believing, that is important. That can take you to that ultimate realization. And we go once you go there, in the words of Sri Ramakrishna, Shekhane Shop Shearer Akra, all the fox howls in the same manner once they reach there. And now you will understand what Sri Ramakrishna is saying as such a wonderful words, that you do not accept God with form. That is all right. The image is not meant for you. For you, it is good to deepen your feeling toward your own idea. From the worshippers of the personal God, you should learn their yearning, for instance, Sri Krishna's attraction for Radha. You should learn from the worshippers of the personal God their love for their chosen ideal. When the believers in the personal God worship the images of Kali and Durga, with what feeling they cry from the depths of their souls, Mother, oh Mother, how much they love the deity. You should accept that feeling. You don't have to accept the image. What a wonderful message he is giving here. That yearning, what faith you have is not important. Is important is with how much yearning you're holding to that. It may be a useless idea, but it will take you to the realization. If you have that simple faith, and with that faith, you can hold on to it. So, Brahmo, how does one cultivate the spirit of dispassion? Why don't all attain it, Master? Dispassion is not possible unless there is satiety through enjoyment. You can easily cajole a small child with candies or toys, but after eating the candies and finishing its play, it cries, I want to go to my mother. Unless you take the child to its mother, it will throw away all the toy and scream at the top of its voice. Actually, the same thing we were discussing, that through avidya maya, when you are going through, till you reach the climax of your biological evolution, the entire thing was playing with the toys, nothing else. The world, whatever I'm doing, it is all playing with the toys. But a time comes when I'm satiated now. That realization has dawned. This world, after all, however I chase after it, it's not going to give me happiness. It's a flow. The real happiness is within me. Once I realize that, these toys fall off. Now I want to get established in what I am. The renunciation has dawned in. And now that there is no way anything can stop, you need there's two things, renunciation and this tremendous yearning. There's the toys are no more interest. I want my mother. There's two things. Vivek, this vairagya and this anuraga. Tremendous love for God and Vishoye Vitrishna, Ishware Anurag. Ishware Anurag, Vishoye Virag. So these are the two things. That's why he's saying that once you know that this eternal chase for the yearning for eternity and fulfillment through the world is meaningless. It is because of ignorance. I'm already that. Because of my ignorance. I was thinking I have to get through this body-mind complex. Now it falls off. All these toys falls off. Now I yearn for getting established in my own self. So that's what the dispassion is not possible unless there's satiety through enjoyment. We have all through this process. At last, it has taken me to that realization. The satiety has come. It's of no use. And then you can easily cajole a small child with candies or toys. But after eating the candies and finishing its place, it cries, I want to go to my mother. Unless you take the child to its mother, it will throw away the toy and scream at the top of the voice. So once delusion ceases, the biological evolution stops and renunciation ensues. This idea In Swami Vivekananda's lectures, you will find wonderfully he is explaining. Many say that Swami Vivekananda has never spoken of Ramakrishna, as he has never taken the name of Ramakrishna. It's true. We will find in the West, no one knew Ramakrishna, so that name doesn't matter. But what he's speaking is nothing but Ramakrishna. That's why he used to say that I'm a voice without form. So you'll find whatever explanation Swamiji is giving is totally based on this gospel's idea, nothing else. That the renounced that he's saying, that he gives that example that when the idea that my eternal chase for eternity and fulfillment through the body-mind complex, that stops. I know that I get that idea that it was because of delusions happening. The first thing happens is renunciation. And that's the thing we find even through this word. Sri Ramakrishna is saying the same thing in a simple way. The members of the Brahmo Samaj are opposed to the traditional guru system of the orthodox Hinduism. Therefore, the Brahmo devotee asks the master about it, the need of a guru. Brahma, is spiritual knowledge impossible without guru? So now we will just read Sri Ramakrishna's words, but we will again continue with its discussion and explanation in the next class. What the master is saying, Satchidananda alone is the guru. If a man in the form of a guru awakens spiritual consciousness in you, then know for certain that it is God, the Absolute, who has assumed that human form for your sake. So now this idea of guru, the guru as the ultimate spiritual reality, that what Sri Ramakrishna is speaking and stressing on, so that his discussions will continue on those lines, which we will again take up in the next class. So with this, we stop our discussion today. Thank you all. Namaskar.